Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you all for tuning in to our Life, Vision, Purpose Author Spotlight Live. This morning, I am so very excited to be interviewing Mrs. Adrienne Gray. Miss Adrienne Gray. Adrienne, along with myself, is a co-author in a book that we recently published along with myself and three other authors, Sharon Gibson, Beverly Van Woods, Sarah Reed. The last authors spotlight, we featured Sarah Reed. This Saturday morning, we are featuring Miss Adrienne Gray. Thank you all for tuning in so much. I'm just so excited that Miss Adrienne is going to be sharing with us today because Adrienne is the shy one in our group. So we're going to get to hear from Adrienne herself this morning. But before we get started, I'd like to ask a big favor of those of you who are tuning in. If you would go ahead and hit the share button down to the left corner and just share this live event on your timeline with your friends, your family, anyone who's following you. We will greatly appreciate it so much. Just go ahead and hit the share button. And as I mentioned on the last slide, this live is a part of a virtual book tour that we are doing to promote our recently published book titled Life, Vision, Purpose. If you haven't purchased a copy, you can do so by heading over to Amazon.com and you can search the book by its title, Life, Vision, Purpose, or you can search the book by any of the author's name and make that purchase today. We would be so appreciative if you did so. All sales, book sales, proceeds from the book sales goes towards scholarships and grants for those in the underserved population of our local and surrounding communities. So we have Miss Adrienne with us today, and we're going to go ahead and get started because I cannot wait for Miss Adrienne to share with the audience her story. You know, if you already have a copy of the book and you read her story, so you already have an idea. But for those of you who may not have a copy of the book yet, or if you have a copy and you just want to hear from Adrienne, then today is your lucky day because Miss Adrienne is going to share with us what she's written about in the book. So you're going to get this uh, up close and intimate glimpse into Adrienne's life this morning. Miss Adrienne, how are you doing this morning? Say hi to the viewing audience.
Hello. Hey, thank you for joining. I'm good.
You're doing good? You're doing just good?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just good.
Just good right now.
All right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Miss Adrienne. Okay. So, Miss Adrienne, if you would, before we dive into the questions this morning, can you just tell the viewers how to find you on social media? I know I kind of like to start off by giving that information up front and then giving it several other times throughout the interview. Just go ahead and tell the viewing audience how they can locate you on social media.
I have a page. Well, I think they're all named the same. I have a page on Facebook, AEG Craft Designs. Also on Instagram, Facebook and Instagram, and Etsy. I have an Etsy. It's AEG Craft Designs. And I'm also on Twitter. It's AD Ink. I had set that one up years ago, supposed to be for my writing, and I don't go on that much. But anyway, I have a Twitter named AD Ink.
Okay. So
And
just on Instagram.
Instagram, Facebook, and Etsy.
Okay. Instagram, Facebook, and Etsy. Okay, thank you for sharing that. Well, we're going to go ahead and dive into these questions this morning, Miss Adrienne, because I want everybody to hear it straight from you. Not only do I want them to read about it in the book, but I also want them to hear from your mouth as an author what you've written about. So, Miss
Mm.
Adrian, you're from, is it Philadelphia?
Pittsburgh.
No, Pittsburgh. Okay, forgive me. Forgive me for saying Philadelphia. I was thinking about a case I was working on yesterday at work.
Yeah, Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. So tell us about Pittsburgh, growing up in Pittsburgh.
I mean, I think I had a kind of normal childhood. In the book I wrote that I was premature. I was born premature.
Uh-huh.
Um, my mom, my mom, I was born right after Thanksgiving, and she thought she had indigestion because I wasn't supposed to come until like January. So she went into labor, and I had to stay in the hospital. I think she said until January because I was only 3 pounds or something like that when I was born.
Mm-hmm.
And she brought me home, and but I was. I mean, I don't think it was anything out of the ordinary in my life. I had a real strong support from when I didn't. My mother did from my grandparents. Grandparents were in my life. My grandfather was more of a father figure to me because
Mm-hmm.
my dad was in and out of the home, but my grandfather was a big male figure in my life, and but my grandparents introduced us to church, and we were at church every Sunday. And I have a younger sister. She's about maybe not quite 2 years younger than me. I have a younger sister, so it was just the two of us. And I don't think, I mean, it was a good. I think it was pretty. It was not horrible. I mean, I don't remember anything really. I think we had a pretty good. My mother tried to make things really normal for us, especially with my grandparents around. They helped a lot too, like I said. So I can't say anything was out of the ordinary, except that, like I said, my father was not in the house a lot, so he drank.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a lot of fights, and I guess that's something we really, I can say that we didn't really talk about, and we still really don't talk about it. Everybody we know, my sister and I know, and I don't believe I've ever talked to my sister about it. I talked to my mother about it, but I've never talked to my sister about it. But
Mm-hmm.
and I remember living with my grandparents for a while because I guess they split up. And I remember, like I said, my father being in and out. But there were good times, there were bad times, like I said, as far as that went. But we had pretty, it was pretty normal.
Okay. Okay. So tell me about Pittsburgh as a geographical place, because I think you're the only person that I know from Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I can't think of anyone else that I know from Pittsburgh. Tell us about growing up in that geographical location.
I mean, that's things like you hear about down here. I don't remember things like that. We went to school, and I remember in grade school, we had, we had white children in the school, and it was, mixed school. And in the neighborhood I lived in, by the time I finished grade school, it was all black. The neighborhood was all black. But I remember when we first moved in, there were white children there too. But and my school was mixed, and it's like there was I don't I can't think of anything crazy about it. That was normal for me. And I didn't
Hmm.
know anything about, not being able, I mean, the segregation in the South back then. No, not when I was little or anything, but um there were certain areas, I guess, like here now, certain areas where the black people live, certain areas where the white people live. You go downtown, you saw a lot of white people. You didn't see too many black people downtown. But Pittsburgh at that time, that's back when I grew up. That was when the steel mills were still pretty active. So, and I remember that, well, that was in college, and she used to call it, what did she call it? Dirty Pittsburgh. She would write me letters. And when she wrote me letters over the summer, she would put Dirty Pittsburgh or something like that on the envelope.
Uh-huh.
But it was, I mean,
Dirty Pittsburgh.
because of the steel mill, and I mean, now
Okay.
I have not been in Pittsburgh in like 20 years, so I don't know how it looks. To be honest, I don't know how it looks now, except when I see pictures. But I mean, I understand it's real high tech now, and all the steel mills are gone clearly. But back then, I don't think it was. I didn't think it was dirty or anything, but it was cold. I didn't like that.
Cold.
I
Uh-huh.
didn't like that. That's one reason I guess I wanted to come south. It was cold,
Yeah.
and things like that. You had to go to school when it's cold. Got to walk in the snow when it's cold, and so
Yeah. See, I never been to Pittsburgh. Never.
it's nothing like I said. I don't believe it's anything like what I grew up now. What it looks now. I've just seen pictures, but
Is it okay when you say it's not anything? Well, today it's not anything like when you grew up. So
no.
is it better or did it decline?
I understand. The reason why I didn't want to stay there, I didn't think that I would be able to get. I kind of, once I got in the South, once I lived in the South, and I went to school here, I figured that I could get a better job here than when I graduated, than to go back. I could do something I wanted to do. From what I have read articles about Black women in Pittsburgh, it is not a place for Black women. But I think it's a lot of not millennials. I guess you would say millennials now there, and it's become really a tech kind of a tech kind of city now.
Is it?
I think it is. I think it is now. It's not, like I said, it's nothing. Back then it was more, like you say, blue collar. Now it's white collar.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So
That's skin.
yeah. Okay. Well, I'm from a small town, as you know, a small town in Mississippi. And I guess when I left home, I always thought in my mind that my little town would grow, but it did, unfortunately, not as far as, economics and things of that nature. So yeah, that is a little interesting. The main jobs in my town were factory jobs. And those factory closed down for whatever reason. I'm not exactly sure, but I always thought that things would just develop more than they have. But I love my little town. So to all of you Rubilians who may be tuning in this morning, good morning to you. Okay, let's move on, Miss Adrian. Now you talk about your father being an alcoholic and abusive, and you touched a little bit on it already, but I just want you to give us, share with the viewers a little more detail about growing up in an environment, in a home environment, where your father was abusive and an alcoholic, and how did that impact your life?
The way that I guess I could say the way I grew up, the I remember somebody saying that to us one time. Children should be seen and not heard. So we never said anything. If we knew what was going on, we knew what was going on. I think the neighbors knew what was going on, but we never said anything about it. And I guess I don't know how. I can't say how it impacted me. I would always. I remember I told my husband if he ever hit me that there would be some, he was going to pay for, that there was going to be some things going on if he ever hit me. But we, like I said before, I don't ever remember talking to my sister about it.
Yeah.
I talked to my mother about it. And because people say, why don't you leave or whatever, and she left a couple of times.
Hmm.
She did leave a couple of times, but and then she would go back. But you can't, I don't think that you can really explain why somebody goes back to that. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as far as growing up with it, I don't know if it impacted. That's the only thing I can think that it impacted me, that if somebody ever raised their hand to me, because I, I don't know, I can say that would probably be the only really the real impact that it had
Yeah.
on me. Someone raised their actually hit
Raise our
me.
hand. Yeah. And the reason I ask, because today uh we hear stories, and there's so much research on how alcoholism affects children who grow up in those type of environments. But I think, in your age group, in my age group, uh they were probably not doing the research that they
Mm-mm,
do today,
mm-mm.
on that topic. So when our parents or whoever drank, or cousins or uncles or whatever, and we were in those environments or around, you know, those people, then we really didn't think about it impacting us. We just saw that, in a sense, I don't want to say as a norm, but it was just something that they did,
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
didn't necessarily define them as an alcoholic per se. It was looked at more so as, okay, my my stepdad drinks, or my uncle drinks, or my cousin drinks, and we
yeah,
never looked at them as alcoholics having a problem or anything of that nature, even when we were around, uh, or in environments where whether it was our parents who fought, or our relatives who fought. We didn't even think about that as being uh, a, an abusive relationship. We just saw it as, okay, they're disagreeing, or they're arguing, and or whatever, and,
yeah.
and that was it. But I think, as time evolved, uh, society start defining those type of environments and those type of incidents as what
True,
they are defined as today. Alcoholism, of course,
true.
today is looked upon as a disease, and of course, uh, domestic abuse is a significant topic today, because things are different today too. I
Yeah,
don't,
that.
I don't, yeah, I don't remember, when I was growing up, when I don't remember marriages, husbands and wives fighting to death or something, of that nature, or even people in relationships. Uh, killing each other. I just don't remember that. If it happened, I wasn't aware of it, but we're in a different day
Mm,
now. So things are different. So I think it's really important that uh, the research that's already been done, and the research that they continue to do, and the advocating for, you know, uh, or advocating against, domestic abuse and things of that nature. I think that is very important, because we are in a different day, and it seems like those type of uh, incidents are taken to a different level now than they
they,
were 30 years ago or 40
yeah,
years ago. Yeah, they're taken to a different level now. It seems that there's a spirit of rage attached to it. Okay, so but as far as you, and you growing up, in a home where your father, you say, was an alcoholic, and he was abusive, you said didn't really have an impact on you per se, other than you better not lay your hands to me,
not,
or you'll pay for it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So on page 61 of our book, you talk about, your mom, your grandmom, your granddad, all being creatives. Tell me about that. growing up around or being a byproduct of creatives
Yeah, they
in your
were all,
family?
well, even my father drew
Okay,
too.
and your father too. Hmm.
Yeah, I still have a drawing he did. He drew some cartoon characters from the newspaper, the comics.
Uh-huh.
And I was amazed. I remember I was so amazed that they looked exactly like, what the comics were there. But my grandmother sewed, my mother sewed. My grandmother, I guess my grandmother taught my mother. But anyway, my grandmother, because I have her sewing machine. I use her, I don't use her sewing machine, but I have her table. I just sit my sewing machine in it. But she
Hmm.
sewed and my mother sewed because I think in the book I talk about this. My mother would make us Easter outfits every year and
Okay.
Halloween.
Uh-huh.
I remember the Easter outfit, the coat I had, and she had made a hat and the coat and the lining in the coat was the same. I mean, she was a person that she used to tell me that if you take the coat off and you throw it on
Hmm.
a something, it should look nice. You have to finish the inside. That's what she would
Right.
always make sure the inside looks nice. So if you take the coat off and throw it on a chair, it looks nice from the inside and the outside. But she
Okay.
put that lining in that coat and then I remember she made my sister she made us hats and she made us hats with the match the coats and my grandmother sewed too. And
Hmm.
my grandmother was actually, of course she's old school, but she was like, I guess that's why she taught my mother to sew. But you should know how to cook and sew. And
Yeah.
she sent my sister and I to Sears on Saturdays. We would go to
Uh-huh.
Sears and take sewing class. And that's when I started sewing. I was making that. I made the whole my whole wardrobe one year, but she sent us on Saturday mornings. We would go to sewing class, and then you bring it back home and you try to finish some of it. And I remember one summer I couldn't find a job, so my grandmother took me to the fabric store. I don't know how much fabric we bought. When I went back to school, I had everything. I sewed that whole just
Oh, wow.
and my grandfather painted. I think from what my mom says, he started painting. He was painting when he was younger. Then as he got older, he got a family and working and all. But anyway, once he retired, he started painting again. And he was in some shows in Pittsburgh and he had, had some exhibitions there. He was selling his artwork. He said he gave some to the church. And I said in the book too that all of us in the family now have at least one piece of his
Hmm.
art in our houses now. But him and so my mother, and even my children have gotten it now too. So
Yeah.
my daughter paints, and she's just real creative. And my son, he's designing things now. He's
Right.
trying to start a clothing line. But I grew up around that. Just
Hmm.
And I remember drawing. I draw a lot when I was younger too. I used to
Yeah.
draw because I would just sit in front of the TV and draw. And I
Hmm.
mean, TV on, not necessarily watching TV, but I was just drawing. And I guess that was my pastime. And I guess reading and drawing was the
Yeah.
thing. But
Yeah.
they were all very creative. Because my mother too, I remember we lived in a little apartment, and
Hmm.
got some contact paper and she covered a lamp, a trash can, I think a table in our bed. It made it
Yeah.
real like a little cute little room. We were in this little apartment and
Yeah.
it was nice. And so
Right. So you are from a family of creatives,
I
and
think
even your children are creative. And I can tell that that's a big part of your life, really, because when you talk about, your mom, your dad, your grandmom, your granddad, I can see your smile just light up. And I'm thinking in my mind when you talk about being creative, it takes you back,
yeah,
to your childhood because it seems like you have a lot of fun memories,
of my
about
yeah,
about being creative and being around creatives when you were growing up. So that's why you're so creative today. So for
yeah.
those of you who are viewing, uh, if you'll go ahead and hit the share button and share this live broadcast with your friends and families, we would greatly appreciate it. I asked Miss Adrian about growing up around creatives because she herself is very creative. She is the founder and owner of AEG Craft Designs, where she makes all different types of creative crafts. You know, whatever you can think of, Adrian can make it. And so she gave you her contact information. So if you need a door wreath or placemats for your table or napkin rings for your table napkins or anything like that, you contact Miss Adrian, and she does excellent work. Excellent work. So, Miss Adrian,
Mhm.
now you talk about being creative, and I gather that writing also is a part of that. Tell us about how you started to write when you were really young. You talk about it initially on page 62 in our book. So go ahead and tell the viewing audience how you started writing at a young age.
I think it's because I would those that was something else I used to like to do. Just go to the library, not
Mm-hmm.
spend a day in the library, just there, and just sometimes readings and just going through that. I walk to the library because that wasn't very far from where I live, but just reading or whatever, just to be there, and I remember even I guess even I was thinking about this the other day that even when I was little, when they teach you how to write your name, and this is something else back in the day, they would teach you how to write your name, and they would give you that paper with the lines, and you had to write within those lines. I don't know if you did the same. They had this paper with
Yeah.
perforating, and you had to write within. I remember doing I guess my signature back then, trying to start my signature back then, because I told my children, because the kids these days, they don't know how to do cursive, and I was like, I would just sit there sometime and write A B C D in cursive, just doing it. But anyway,
Uh-huh.
I remember writing poetry when I was really pretty young. I think I was in grade school, because there was a contest. I don't remember what grade I was in, and I remember we had to do a poster for Easter, and I was trying to find it, and I can't. I guess I didn't keep it, because I keep everything. I have a trunk full of stuff. But it was. I remember it was a rabbit on the poster,
Mhm.
and I wrote something on it, and I won the contest. I just want to say I can't find it now though. Anyway,
Yeah.
now I'm in third or fourth grade. But before by the time I got to, I believe not in high school, I really started writing then. Like I said, just reading, I would just read all the time, and
Yeah.
I would write mainly I was writing poetry,
Okay.
mainly. And
Okay.
I had not, that's when I guess I decided, I'm going to write the great American novel one day.
Right.
So, like I said,
And
I had nothing to write about because I had no
yeah.
life. I was going to write today. That was my goal in life back then. I was like, I'm gonna write the great American novel one day. But I
Yeah.
mainly poetry when I was younger. So just these little sad poems. I was looking at those the other day too. It's like, oh my goodness, Adrian. They were just, some of them were just so sad. Just
Yeah. No. So you've always been passionate about writing.
yeah, I
You've
think
always been passionate about writing. Yeah, and I can remember being in grade school and the paper that you mentioned with the
Mhm,
lines,
mhm,
where you trace and all of that, trace your cursive,
mhm.
letters and words and things of that nature. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think they may still use that paper in school.
I
I
don't,
think so. I know they did when my children were in school, but my children are older now, so
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if they still use it or not, but I surely used it when
Mhm.
I was in grade school. So I do remember that. And I know you mentioned, having all of these, projects and posters and cards and things of that nature that you made when you were young. I have those too. I
Keep
think
him.
that's just something that we all do. We tend to collect these things. I have things from, when I was in grade school, cards that I made,
Mhm.
uh, by hand, little poems that I wrote. I didn't necessarily just write to the extent that you said you did when you were young, but when special holidays and things like that came around, that would be
Yeah.
like a school or class project. The teacher said,
Yeah.
okay, make a card for your parents,
Right.
or
Yeah.
make a card for Easter, you make a card for Mother's Day, Christmas, or you put together a scrapbook or something like that. So I have lots of those too, as well as I have a whole collection uh, for my children. I think I have probably all of the little books that they made,
Oh yeah. Definitely.
yeah, I have
Yeah.
all of those. Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. I think that's just part of school and things we
Yeah.
do, when we're in grade school,
'Cause
at least up until middle school anyways.
my mom
Yeah.
still has things I've made. I used to make that I made in art
Yeah.
class in school because I remember
Really?
uh, I tried to do what do you call it? I forget what you call it. Anyway, I was making a vase vase, whatever.
Mhm.
And I don't know where I remember seeing it in her house, but she's got a bunch of stuff that I made. Just
Yeah.
and when I make something like, oh, I want one, so
Yeah, yeah. Those are what they call precious memories per
hmm
se. Those little keepsakes that
hmm
we really do value. And when we get old and we're sitting on the porch in the rocking chair, we pull out those things and look at them and reflect back on that time in our life. So
hmm
yeah, I keep those things too. I do. We're going to move on because
Okay.
I want to hear about this HBCU experience. Now, here
Oh,
you are from Pittsburgh, and you say you wanted to be a Southern girl. Tell us about this. Tell us about the desire to want to be a Southern girl
I
and
don't know.
actually attending an HBCU.
And I don't know where I know where the HBCU thing came from, but the southern part, I can't remember because I have a friend that went to Clark at the same time, and she came down here. She went on a
Okay.
trip down here and saw Clark.
Uh huh.
And, oh, I want to go to Clark, but I don't remember her telling me before. But anyway, I don't know. I knew I wanted to go to an HBCU because my mother thought I should go to a white school because I had grown up in predominantly black school. Going to by the time, like I said, by the time I got to grade school, it was pretty much all black. Maybe we had maybe two white students then. In high school, it was all black. And she thought you should go to a predominantly white school. So I compromised and I found Spelman in I remember Ebony used to do this thing every year with taught with for schools.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was just yeah, maybe it was just the HBCUs. But I saw Spelman in Ebony.
Okay.
Um and that looked interesting to me. I had never been to Atlanta. Had no clue about
Really? Oh, wow.
never. The
Mm-hmm.
farthest I had been was Chattanooga. I had
Okay.
never been to Atlanta, but I remember I looked at I looked at Grambling. I said, no, Grambling was too far. And I said,
Yeah.
well, Louisiana. I looked at Grambling, but I applied to Spelman, I applied to Morgan State, and to make my mother happy, I applied to Pitt and Penn State. And
Okay.
I accepted to all of them. But when Spelman said yes, and they said they give me money, I said, that's where I want to go. And I got here. And to me, it was just amazing. Just,
Really?
just black people. It was just like, because like I said, if you go downtown in Pittsburgh, it was like you didn't see that many black. If you did see them, you might know them. You know, it was back then. It was not. I guess it's more diverse now. I don't know, but it was not then. But and
Yeah.
and they weren't just, you know, they weren't just hanging on the corners. You know, they're hanging in front of that's what I saw in Pittsburgh. The guys hanging in front of the bars, the guys hanging on the corners. It's like, no, it's got to be something else besides that. And I got here and I was just like, okay, this is it. And
Hmm.
I was homesick at first because I was like, I was ready. I remember I sent away for an application to Carnegie Mellon, which is in Pittsburgh, and I
Hmm.
was a transfer. And my mother said, "You have not given it time. You need to give it some time."
Yeah.
And but I made friends, and by Thanksgiving, like I said, I was I was not looking back, and
Okay. Okay.
I just felt like people were just doing on this black college because I took class. I was able to take classes at Spelman and at Clark, and it just made me feel like I had not seen people just young people like that doing things like they were doing, just the way they were just having all these goals and aspirations. And I didn't know. I met girls. I never heard of Jack and Jill. I didn't know about that. And you know, and then we would talk about sororities and all, which I didn't pledge or anything, but it was just I was in my own world.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Okay. Okay. Well, it sounds like you had a great time.
Hmm.
Sounds like you had a great time. And you said it didn't take you long to get over being homesick. So I guess once you did, start meeting people and, going places and
Hmm.
exploring Atlanta, the homesickness kind of just faded, faded away. So
Like
what, huh? Go
like you
ahead.
said in the beginning, you know, I didn't talk a lot, but then I didn't talk a lot, but my roommates would, you know, I would hang around with my roommates. That's how, and I met people through them. I think they both knew people already. They did. They both knew people already that were in at the school. So, you
Yeah.
know, like, oh, come on, you know, come with us, you know. So I was like, okay, you know, I made friends. So,
Okay. Yeah. So would you say that I know you said you read about Spelman in Ebony magazine. Would you say
hmm
that's where the seed was planted?
hmm hmm
Okay, from reading.
My mother did. She said, my mother said that she had considered that when she was younger, but my grandmother wouldn't let her go away.
Okay.
So she couldn't go. She didn't go
Okay.
to college. I mean, she went to college after
Yeah.
we in high school, but my grandmother would not let her go.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what, I mean, I think when I first told her about Spelman, she told me that. But no, that's the first time I heard of Spelman was from Ebony. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I've heard lots of people talk about the HBCU experience and how it's an experience of a lifetime. And I shared during the last live, I believe I shared being from Mississippi, Jackson State University is an
Hmm.
HBCU as well. And I was in the band in high school, so we would always go to like this big event at Jackson State University where the bands would be involved and things of that nature. And I believe that I wanted to go to Jackson State University, but the Army recruiters got to me first.
Yeah.
They would come to the school and, to recruit
Hmm.
high schoolers into the military. And on one of those recruiting ventures, they sold me. I was sold and I signed up for the military under the delayed entry program. uh I, along with one of my classmates, and we joined under the buddy system, and I ended up leaving home 4 days after I graduated from high school,
Wow.
joining the military. here I was. I had never really been away from home myself.
Yeah.
And 4 days later, I leave Mississippi, this little small town where I'm from, and I wake up and I'm at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, in the military. I went through a phase of being homesick also. And mine's lasted probably, look, I don't know if mine's lasted as long as yours. I was going to say it did, but I don't think it did because, the military is the real deal. I think I cried for maybe probably 2 weeks. And, I have some funny stories to tell about the military. I cried for, I know, the first 2 or 3 weeks. And this is such a funny story, but it's true. When I joined the military, when we arrived at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, the MEP station, I think that's what they call it. I don't even remember what they call it. I think that's it though. You have to pass this mock PT test before you can go on to basic training. And you have to do like a couple of push-ups, a couple of sit-ups. So I had never done a push-up before in my life. Never, ever. So I go down on the ground because I see the other, recruits that did it before I did, that went before me. So I'm saying, okay, they just put their arms out and they went down. So I put my arms out and I go down, but I have no idea or strength to get up. So I'm like, okay, this is not working for me. So I didn't know how to do a push-up. So I was delayed for like 2 weeks going on to basic training because I didn't know how to do a
Oh my
push-up, and I
goodness.
didn't know how to do sit-ups, anything like that. So I had to stay at the MEP station for like 2 weeks, and every day all we did was exercise, push-ups, sit-ups, marching drills, and things of that nature. But once I was able to, meet that minimum qualification to go on to basic training, I went on to basic training. And of course, once I got into basic training, I was so tired that being homesick just
Wasn't it?
left me. Yeah, it
Mhm.
just it just left me. There used to be a saying, a military, the army had a motto that we do more before 9 a.m. than most people do all day. That is the truth.
It's true.
Well, I know it was when I was in basic training because I totally remember getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and getting dressed for PT and running through the woods in the dark with a flashlight. Yes.
Oh my
So it's
goodness.
true. It is so true. Yeah. But that was my, experience straight out of high school. But it was good, taught me a lot, discipline and things of that nature and independence. So I didn't have the HBCU experience that, I thought about at one time. And it wasn't until after I got out of the military that I decided to, pursue higher education. But it's all good. I wouldn't change anything about it in the world. Not anything about it. That was my experience. Yeah. So I'm glad you had that experience though, because I can tell you had fun.
I was
Because
having fun. Yeah, I
yeah,
was having fun.
yeah, I can tell you had lots of fun. Yeah, lots of fun. In the book now, you talk about being an English art major, having a degree in English and art, but you ended up getting a career in computer technology. Now, how did that happen? Because that's when I met
Wait
you.
a
You were
minute.
working
You
for the federal
just didn't.
government.
I'm losing a connection or something.
Okay, I think you're back. I hear you well. Miss Adrian will be joining us shortly. Look like she has some connection issues going on here.
Okay.
Okay, Miss Adrian, sounds like
Okay.
you're backing in. You know, with
Well,
these internet connections at any time, we can
the
lose
storm is
connection.
around.
So for those of you who are viewing, just bear with us. If you have any type of experience with computers, you know that connection issues happen at times. You lose connection, such and so forth. But we're just gonna pick up where we left off. I was asking Miss Adrian about her career. She has a degree in English and art, but she uh, ended up with a career in computer technology. And when I met Miss Adrian, she was working as a computer technologist. So, Miss Adrian, tell us how that happened. How did you, uh, being the creative that you are, get it end up in career in computer technology with such a arts degree?
That was not my intention at all. When I was in school, I remember I took a class, real world work, and I tried to get into some form of advertising, and they sent me to, at the time there was a theater downtown theater, and I went down there and work in their what office? They're doing publications. I was stuffing envelopes, doing some of the, I didn't do it, helping some of the marketing for some of the putting on. So I was,
Are we losing you again, Adrian?
huh, I'm here.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, when I graduated, I tried to get a job. I was just trying to get something because my mother said if I didn't get a job, I was coming back
Mhm.
home.
Oh
And I
no.
did not want to do that.
Right.
So I got a job. I went to the Urban League and I told them what I was interested in. He said, "Oh, I can find you something." At the time, there was a club called Mr. V's on the South Side here.
Mr. B's or Mr. V's? Just bear with us on the live. Miss Adrian is having some connection issues, but we're going to hang in here. We're not going to stop. We'll just keep reconnecting.
Okay.
Okay, so you said there
Anyway,
was a restaurant. Was it Mr. B's or Mr. V's?
Mr. V's, it was a club, it was a nightclub, a
Oh, a
disco.
nightclub. Okay.
I worked there and they had an office. I was not working in the club.
Okay.
They had an where they did all their promotions and all that. And I got a job in there, like I said, answering phones again and stuffing envelopes and doing that kind of stuff. But my roommate, this is after graduation, I had two roommates, and one of my roommates came back and she had gotten a job. She got a job with the government. She got a job with the Department of Labor. And she's the one that told me, go down and take a test downtown and take a test for just to get in, to take a test to get in. So I went down to the Russell building here and took the test, and maybe 2 or 3 months later, I got the notice that I was hired by the IRS. And I was on the phones when I first started.
Mhm.
I started out on the phone, sending out forms to people, part-time, and it was a job though.
Yeah.
But then when the filing season was over, they let me go to not taxpayer service. I got a job in tax shelter as a secretary. Because I had gone there and done a little bit of work before this tax season was over. So they asked me if I'd come back and just be a secretary there. Anyway, so that's pretty much what I did. Then once I just kept moving up. I just moved up, ended up moving up all the time, moving up. Office where you work, but into the first one, the computers in the office.
Okay.
They asked me I was doing some of the data entry sometimes. They would
Yeah.
have timesheets and I would have to put the data in. So when they got the computers in the office, they asked me if I'd be interested in learning about them. So I said, yeah, I did. So they would send me to the classes sometimes, or I just learned on my own. And that's how I started, just doing
Okay.
the data, pretty much doing the data. But when they actually got the computers in the office, I was in charge of them. So
Okay.
it was a whole new, it pretty much started. So I started there and just stayed there from that time.
Yeah. Okay.
That's how I
So
got IT.
that's how you got an IT. So it wasn't like it was something
It was
planned. It just happened that way.
no, it was an accident. It was an accident. I didn't mean that.
Right, right. It was an accident, but it turned out to be a good accident, a good
Yeah,
fulfilling career, you know.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because that's how I met you. When I met you, you were working as a computer technologist.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's good. We want to take a minute here to thank everyone who is tuning in today. We see you. We are so appreciative that you joined the Facebook Live. I am interviewing author Adrienne Gray. Adrienne and myself, along with three other authors, recently published a book, and the book is titled Life, Vision, and Purpose. If you haven't purchased a copy of our book, you can head over to Amazon.com and search the book by its title, Life, Vision, and Purpose. Make a purchase today. All proceeds from book sales will go to funding scholarships and grants for the underserved population in our local and surrounding communities. We thank each of you who are joining in today. Ms. Gray is sharing with us an up close and personal account of some of her life, you know, and she'll be talking about some of her most life defining moments as well. So for those of you who are just joining in, I just wanted to let you know that I'm sharing the screen here with author Adrienne Gray. Thank you, Sandra Wade, for joining in today. I think I saw Kim White, Donaby, thank you so much for joining in. Courtney Stewart, thank you for joining in. Carolyn Grubbs, thank you so much for joining in. Ida Johnson, thank you for viewing. Beverly Van Woods, thank you for viewing this morning. Miss Sonia Guillory Richardson, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you to all of you who've taken time out of your schedule this morning to listen in to the live broadcast this morning. Summer Woodson, thank you so much. Thank you, Danielle Ramos Rash, thank you for joining in. I think I saw a couple of other people, Prophet Timothy Adams, thank you, Sergeant Major JP Calhoun, thank you all, thank you all, thank you all. And we're going to go ahead and continue with the interview. Now, Miss Adrienne, in the book, you at page 65, you talk about life starting to get in the way. You talk about marriage and marrying an older man. And tell us about that. Tell us about marrying an older man and how did that happen? Just talk about that. Marry an older man and life getting in the way. What do you mean about life getting in the way? Life got in the way.
That I just didn't. I wasn't doing any of the creative things that I like to do before.
Okay.
I mean, I was going to work, come home, go to sleep, go to work, just that pattern and not nothing really in between. I don't think I was even really reading back then. Well, yes, at the beginning I was till I was, but I met him. I guess he did not. I did not know he was that much older than me at first because he did not tell me he was that much older than me at first. I think he told me about 10 years. I think because he didn't tell me his exact age at first.
Okay.
But then I found out that he was that much older than me. but it really never, it did not, it never, I don't think, it didn't affect me. I think that it had a more of a problem with him than it did with me. Because at first he was like, we had fun. It was great. Everything was fine. Even before the up and I don't think anything had really happened until anything really happened with between us until he got sick. But at first everything was fine. And there were things going on that I ignored, I guess, because like I said, he took me places I had never been, and he took I had a, I felt protected with him, and
Okay.
maybe that's a part of the father thing too. And when that was one thing with him too, he drank,
Okay.
and
Hmm.
I guess I think we had talked about that. You marry your father, and that part of my father I did marry, but
Okay.
like, never put a hand on me. That's not an excuse, but I never really had a problem with him being older than me until later. I guess
Okay.
when he got sick. So it never
So
really
you,
affected. It never
okay.
really, because I remember my mom even saying something. Oh, and she saw a picture of him and she said, "Oh, how old is he?" And I told her, and she was like, she didn't say anything, but I know, she said something. She didn't say it, but she's,
Yeah.
there.
Right. Yeah, mothers. Look,
Yeah,
our
yeah.
mothers. Look, our mothers. So you say that uh he never really told you how much older uh
Not
how
at
much
first.
older he was.
Not at first. He told me how old he was, but it was not the truth. And
Oh,
that's
okay. So
he
he
took
didn't tell you the truth.
he took some years off. He
Oh, he
took
took
some.
some years off. Yeah. Yeah, he took some years off. So
Mm-hmm,
he was older than 10 years older than you.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. 15
15.
years?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 15 years. And then I heard you also say that parts of him were like your father,
Yeah, because he said
and
right. Yeah.
yeah.
He.
And now I know in the book you talk about your father uh not being uh there in your life, after a period when he left. And I don't know if you really went into detail about that. I know in the book you talk about uh a meeting, or you were supposed to meet your dad for
Yeah.
lunch or something. Tell us what happened when you were supposed to meet your dad for lunch, because I think that'll kind of play into what I'm gonna ask you about you marrying an older man. Tell us about how your father was not in your life for a period of time, and the day when you saw him and you all had made plans to meet up and he didn't
Mm-hmm.
show up. Yeah.
I don't know when I had seen him last then, but anyway, I know I was in college and I had a summer job in an office building, and I
Mhm.
got off the elevator and he was standing there. Then I was thinking the other day about that, but I don't know if he had seen me. Maybe he had seen me before. I don't know. But I got off the elevator and he was standing there, and we started talking, and I was just telling him about what was going on where I was in school. And also he's like, well, maybe we should have, we should have dinner or something one day. And I was like, okay, fine. And, he had to, and said, just call me, we can, and we'll meet somewhere and have dinner. And that day came. Well, before that, he didn't call. He never did call. And I just went back to school. So it was just like, whatever. I mean, I don't even know if I expected him to call. Maybe I did. I don't
Yeah.
know. But he didn't call nothing. But I went back to school and went on what I had to do. And my mother said that she saw him later on and asked him, why did you do that? She was looking forward to that. Why did you do that? And he said he didn't have anything to give me. It's like,
Mhm.
I didn't want anything. That's what she said. Just what she said. She didn't want anything from you. She just wanted your time. she didn't want anything from me. I guess he thought I wanted money or something. I didn't want anything from him. So
Yeah.
that was, I mean, like I said, I think I was getting ready to go and become a senior then. So I had to be about 20 maybe. But I don't remember. Before that, I don't know how long I had seen him before that.
Okay.
Only,
And when did your dad and your mom divorce? Did you tell us that? When did your
he,
dad leave the
well,
home?
he left off and on. He left. I was in high school when he actually
Okay.
left. He would, I mean,
Okay.
because he would be there in the house sometimes, and then he would be gone, and and then he would come back. He'd show up, but when he actually did leave, I was about 14 or 15.
Okay.
So, but she did not divorce him. I think she told me I was in college. Yeah, because she called me and told me that she actually
Okay.
had divorced him.
Okay. So you talk about your husband and how marrying an older man, you married part of your father. So, and you and I talked about how we know that, sometimes when the father is not present, the lady tends to marry a father figure or
Yeah,
someone that comes across as a father figure. And oftentimes it's a case where the lady marries an older man,
yeah,
because she gets that sense of a father figure from that older man. And I think that's what you mentioned, with Mary and your husband, who was 15 years your senior,
yeah.
you know.
He he was a real, it was a larger than life kind of person. When he was in the room, you knew he was there.
Okay.
When he in the room, you knew he was there. Like even now, I see his family or we're together or whatever. It's like, oh, we just expect him to come out here, and
Yeah.
he was the, because I guess like Sarah said last time, I'm pretty much surrounded by people like that in my life. My friends, like Sarah said, I don't talk a lot. My friends talk a lot.
Your
My
friends
he
talk a
talked,
lot too.
yeah, he talked.
Okay.
He was just a real out there kind of person.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he just brought me into it. So, but yeah, but my father was not like that. That was one thing
Okay.
I like my father. My father was not like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I guess I did look for. I mean, like I said, I felt secure with him, and I
Right.
felt
That's what I was going to say. Because generally, as females, we generally get that feeling of protection and security from our fathers. And when the fathers are not present, even though they may be physically present in the house, but not
mhm,
emotionally present, we tend to pursue that or seek that outside of the home in marriage and relationships.
mhm.
So that's what happens a lot of times. But you also talk about in the book, I know you mentioned how life got in the way of your creativity. You were not pursuing the creative side of yourself. Do you feel like you lost yourself at some point when you got married and started a family?
I got into him. I think he dominated my life. Yes, and
Okay. Okay. And that's early on, because I'm going to talk also about, the pregnancy and things of that nature. So initially, when you got married, before you even had children, you're saying that he dominated your life. So
Mhm,
you kind of lost yourself, lost your
mhm.
identity, the things that you were passionate about and looking forward to doing. You kind of lost that when you got married. Do you
I
think
think
a lot of that had to do with you marrying someone older? Do you think the domination came from him being 15 years your senior? Maybe he had, sometimes when people are older, the things that a younger person would generally want to do, an older person is more settled in a sense, and they're not necessarily interested in doing the things that a younger person may be interested in doing. Do you think it was because he was uh, perhaps settled in his mind already, and he what?
I
But you say maybe no. You don't think that had?
It may be. I don't. Like I said, I don't even remember an interest in any of it. The only thing I know I was doing, I was still reading a lot, but other than making the sewing or anything, I was not. No,
Yeah.
because I had a sewing machine. It was just locked up somewhere, and I was not making anything. So, in the writing, no, I wasn't
So
writing either.
your life just revolved around him,
Yeah,
basically.
it did, and it did.
Yeah.
Say
Yeah.
that. Yes.
Mhm. Okay. And that happens. We read about that happening as well. We read about, women and men losing their self or their identity in their marriage, or in relationships in general when you are consumed with and by the other person, that happens quite often. And there's a lot of, literature on that as well, too. So you also talk about not being able to get pregnant uh, right away. I gather you and your husband wanted to start a family right away, but you were not able to get pregnant for a period of time. For wasn't it about 5 years?
We didn't decide. 'Cause he already had children. He had three
Okay.
children already from previous marriages, like I said. And I think I said in there that, I figured, we didn't think about it till after 5 years. I think we'd been married about almost 5 years when we decided, okay, maybe we'll try to have children. And it just didn't happen right away for me. I couldn't get pregnant. And we
Hmm.
went to see what was going on, found out he was all right. And then they test me, and I'm going, goodness, test, and it was a lot. It was a lot. But they find out that I was not ovulating. So end
Hmm.
up, I take my temperature every morning, keep a chart. Uh, they put me on some medication to help me to ovulate, and I
Hmm.
got pregnant. And I remember I was just real cautious about everything, but we told everybody, oh, we were so happy, and I got pregnant. And
Yeah.
and then what I did not put in the book, which I forgot, I don't know why I didn't put that in the book. I had a
Well,
doctor
that.
appointment. I had a
Hmm.
doctor appointment, and I went in. They were gonna do the ultrasound, and I go into the room, and she puts the thing on, and she's doing the ultrasound, and she's not hearing anything. So I'm just laying there because I didn't know what it was supposed to sound like. I had This was the first time I had done it. I didn't know what it was supposed to sound like. And I remember the nurse or whatever, the technician, she goes out and she brings this other guy in, and he's trying to listen and hear it. And he cleans
Hmm.
off my skin, and he says, I'm sorry. And I'm like, what? He said, there's no heartbeat.
Oh,
So he said,
wow.
they were saying that it was, I don't know, I forget what they called it now, but anyway, there was no fetus. That there was just, I tested positive for pregnancy because I
Hmm.
had, the sac was there, I guess, but the fetus was not anyway. So they said I would probably expel it in a few days. So that's when I went to the bathroom, and that one night, and I heard something fall in the toilet, and I looked at it. It wasn't bloody. So I was like, I don't know what I thought it was. I flushed it, and I didn't even think about it. So then we went to the hospital. And they told me, that's when they told me it was that's what they called it, a spontaneous abortion, but that's not. I guess it really was a miscarriage, but it was no. I guess it was. You can't say it was a miscarriage because there was no fetus. So it was just the placenta and the sac. So I was not. I guess I was not. I tested positive, I guess, because of the hormones from the sac and all, but there was no fetus. So
Okay. 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 So, well, before I ask you the questions about the spontaneous pregnancy or spontaneous abortion, let's go back to you not being able to get pregnant and going through the treatments and things of that nature. Did that take a toll on your marriage? Did it take a toll on you emotionally? What was it like since you both, you're married and you're trying to get pregnant. You know, I know that I've heard of couples, you know, wanting to have children and trying different types of treatments and not being able to get pregnant, and how that uh, takes a toll on the relationship, on the emotions of the mother. You know, it sometimes causes a divide, actually, in relationships, in marriages. How did that affect you, not being able to get pregnant and having to go through the treatments to assist you with getting pregnant? Did that affect your marriage? You know, or
I don't think it did him as much, because like I said, he had children already. And I
mhm.
think more so me, because I felt like this is something I should just be able to do. And then my sister got pregnant, and I'm like, wow, you know, so, and she wasn't even trying, and she just got pregnant. But, and I was like,
Yeah,
well, I felt like I'm not even gonna, before we really got into it, I was like, I'm not even gonna try anymore. My mother said, no, there's things that they can do now. You don't quit, don't give up, just do it, just try. So I think it was more on me than it was on him. But as far as that was a lot, because there was a thing where I remember I had to go have a procedure to make sure my tubes were open. And like I said, it didn't start taking the I think that was probably the most invasive thing that I had to do. But just going the charts and the little
yeah,
graphs and the charts back to the doctor. And then what he didn't like doing, he would have to do, oh, we need a sample from your husband. He wouldn't do it in the office. He would not give me a sample and go to the office and do it. He had to do it at home. And then I would have to rush down the road, because they don't live but so long in a little car.
yeah.
And
Oh, wow.
I'm rushing down the road to the office. And like I said, they found out he was okay. But I mean, yeah, it was a lot, but luckily I
Yeah.
didn't have to go through too much, because the medication they gave me, I didn't have to take any kind of shots. It was just pills they gave me. So
Okay.
luckily I got pregnant after that miscarriage. That next year I got pregnant.
Okay. Okay. So it
Really,
didn't. So how long were you doing the treatments before you were? Would you say
probably
about a year?
about 2 years altogether, because I was
About
taking the
two
med,
years.
got pregnant the first time too. So about
Oh,
2 years.
okay.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
about
Okay.
that long.
Okay.
So
So so now let's go to the spontaneous abortion. You said that you tested positive for pregnancy,
mhm.
but there was no fetus, and that perhaps you tested positive because of the hormones from
I think
the you think that's what it
I,
was?
if I remember what they told me when it all happened, you know, that's why he tested positive, because whatever was in that, but there was no baby. There was never a baby. So
Okay, okay. So even after you had that incident where you went to the restroom, you know, and you flushed, you know, whatever you passed down the toilet, did you ever though just second guess or think that perhaps it was a baby? Did those kind of thoughts ever cross your mind? Even though
yeah,
the doctor had said that there was no heartbeat, but
yeah,
did that
and
ever play out in your mind? What if
I
it was?
I did,
Yeah,
but then I said it didn't. I mean, I had only seen pictures of it, but nothing was. There was no blood, or it was just a clump. It was like whatever, but it was not. It was not what I would have thought it would look like anyway. And like maybe that's why I just
yeah,
flushed. But and I did think, what if it was, but they did tell me, like I said, especially when they said there was no heartbeat. I was
yeah,
like, what am I carrying around? What, you know, what's in me? It's nothing. It's
yeah,
never in me then. So I never really felt, I don't know if you feel pregnant. I know when I did get pregnant, I felt
yeah. You felt pregnant.
When I
Yeah,
really did.
yeah.
Oh,
They
so
say, look, they say we know, but then there's that
yeah,
show that comes on
yeah,
TV where, so many women, don't even know, and
yeah,
they don't even know until they deliver.
yeah.
And
And I don't understand. I don't. Yeah, that I don't know. But I mean,
yeah,
I guess because I was watching it so closely. Because, like I said, I
yeah,
had charts and I've got a calendar and I'm doing all this and taking temperatures and just doing all. So I was watching very closely. That's why I went to the
okay,
got the first test anyway. The first time I got pregnant, it's like the test me. I think something's going on. But that was the only feeling I had. But it was a whole different feeling when I actually did get pregnant.
okay. When you actually did get pregnant, you
Hmm.
you felt you felt pregnant, and you
Hmm.
actually got pregnant a year after the
About a
spontaneous
year.
abortion. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
you have two children, right? You have two children, a
Yeah,
daughter who is the oldest,
a daughter. Yes, my
your Vivian, and
and
and a son, Phil.
my
Hi, Vivian and Phil, if you're watching.
I doubt it.
But say you doubt it.
Vivian might, but I don't know about Phil. He's at school, so but
Okay.
yeah, I had to go through
Okay.
the to have him. Had
Yeah.
the same thing because we decided we don't want her to be an only child, so had to go through the same thing to have him.
Oh, okay. So you had to
Yeah,
go through the treatments
again.
twice.
Yep.
Again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Well, it was worth it because you have two beautiful children. Look, you have two beautiful children, Vivian and Phil. So the treatments, they were worth it. They
Yeah.
were.
Yes.
Yeah. So you talk about your marriage, starting to experience problems in your marriage, and your marriage basically started spiraling downward, deteriorating. And I want you to tell us about that. When did you notice it start to deteriorate? What do you think caused the deterioration of your marriage? And what was the outcome? What, you
It
know,
it was more after my son was born because
mhm.
I believe that's when we didn't know it, but that's when my husband was probably was started to get sick. But he would tell me, and I mean sometimes you hear something enough you believe it. It was some like, but I know I wasn't. He would tell me he saw me somewhere. He would tell me he saw me talking to somebody because I remember my son played baseball and he didn't want me to talk to his coach. Couldn't talk to the coach because we're doing something. And just pretty much any man that I talk to. And um and that's when I'm like, this is not normal. Just I would just tell him, I wouldn't even say anything half the time when he would say something, but it's like little things like that. Just oh, I saw you do such and such. No, you didn't. I wasn't there. I don't know who you saw. And I'm like, I'm not arguing with it. This is ridiculous. But anyway, it blew up because I didn't tell anybody. I told no one about what was going on with that as far as that went. But it blew up. We went to Florida, and he didn't participate in anything with us.
Are you still there, Miss Adrian?
Parking lot.
Okay.
Said he was home. He was going home. He didn't know how to get back. I had the maps and I had the money for the gas. So that was one
Yeah.
thing I just made sure I had charge of our finances. But he was like, I'm going home. You're not doing whatever. I'm trying to enjoy my vacation. So it blew up there, and my mother was there, and my mother saw everything because the kids ran and said, "Mommy and Daddy are fighting." So they went and told my mother, And anyway, when we got home, I told him something's wrong. People don't act like that. Something's wrong. So you need to go to the doctor. So we took him to the doctor and found out, and I don't know, maybe he knew, but he had bladder cancer, not bladder, prostate. It started out with prostate cancer. So he had to have treatments and chemo. Well, not quite chemo. He had some radiation done, but he didn't have to have
Yeah.
chemo with that. And I went through that with him. But that's when he started really, really just like, I don't want to be here anymore. You don't want me. I don't want to be here. And I really think now when I talk to someone in his family. It was I think it was my sister-in-law or somebody, but it was like they had talked to him after he had left. So maybe there was something in his mind where he was thinking, I can't be with her anymore. I don't know. He
Yeah.
never did talk to me because his reason for leaving was that I didn't want him. So, but my thing was, I'm trying to take care of my children. I'm trying to take care of you now. You're sick. So I maybe, and like I said, it's a two-way street. And maybe I did because the drinking had gotten to me. The drinking had gotten to me, and those kind of accusations when I wasn't doing anything started to get to me. So went through the prostate cancer and everything was fine. I don't even know how long, but we had I think he may have gone back for a checkup or something, and they found out he had bladder cancer. And then that he hadn't moved out then, but anyway, after he found out he had the bladder cancer, I went with him with that too. But he was
Right.
here, he was still in the home with us. But when he left, he would call me, like if he had an episode, he had just an episode, I need to go to the emergency room, or can you take me to the emergency room? And I go, he didn't live far from us, so I'd go get him and take him to the emergency room. And then he did have to have chemotherapy, and I sat with him through the chemo. So, but I'm trying to think if he had left, and we were going through that then, because I
Okay.
remember
So
they brought one of those IV tubes in here in the house, and we
did
had it
they?
here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So would you say, did you conclude that his health, his decline in health, really took a toll on the marriage, on not necessarily on your part, but on his part? Because I heard you
yeah,
say that perhaps his thought was because of what he was going through in his health, you didn't want him anymore. So is that when he started to, accuse you of having, an affair, when that was
yeah,
like the farthest thing from your mind? But he was making those accusations really because he was perhaps afraid, of his decline in health and what would happen. So maybe he perhaps just forgave, not forgave, maybe he perhaps gave up on the marriage because of, his diagnosis.
maybe, yeah, yeah, and that weighed on me too, because like I
Well,
said,
yeah.
you hear that, if you continue to hear somebody accusing you of something like that, that
Right.
becomes like, my goodness, just no, just not. But it weighed on
Yeah,
me
so
too.
it took
It
a
was,
toll on both of you. It
yeah,
took a toll
and
on both of you, and ultimately the marriage. And we hear about people who, when they get a diagnosis and they go through some type of terminal illness, or things of that nature, uh, uh they they experience anger. They get angry, and
yeah,
then the people who are closest to them, they tend to push
They laugh.
those people
Yeah,
away. Right. They
yeah,
lash out at those people and they push those people away, you know,
yeah.
and it sounds like that's what happened in your situation. But I hear you saying, it took a toll on you, and I imagine it did. If you're trying to care for someone and love someone who makes accusations and allegations against you and about you, I imagine that is a lot to deal with. But you talked about you all separating. So he separated. Did you all separate before he started to have the treatments, or was it after?
Probably in the middle of it, because I think when he had when the prostate cancer was done, the bladder cancer popped up, but he was almost he was still he was continuously having treatments for the bladder cancer. That never really went away, even after he had moved out. That never really went away, because I remember going, I don't know, I saw him somewhere. We were with family afterwards, and he was telling somebody, "Oh, I'm free. It's done. It's gone." It was never gone. The bladder cancer
Mhm.
was never. But he was like in the middle of everything, because like after we separated, that's when he would call me still and say,
Okay.
"Can you go to the emergency room? I need to go to the emergency room. I need help," or whatever. And I remember still going to some of the treatments he had. He had to have like inpatient surgery sometime. So no, it was still going on even after we
Yeah.
separated.
Yeah. And I know you talk about how some of your family question you about taking care of him and doing things for him. Although you all
Yeah.
were separated, you still, you took him to his treatments, accompanied him, to appointments and things of that nature. You just really there for him, during this time, of
Yeah.
sickness. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about that? You know,
Yeah.
why you did it, and
Um,
yeah,
like I
tell
said,
us.
I think I wrote something about it, that my life had become a Tyler Perry movie. Because
Yeah,
it was not that intense. I did not hurt him in any way, but no,
right.
yeah, I know. But uh, uh, I didn't see anybody else helping him, because he had his apartment. He had his own apartment, and I didn't see it. And I was still married to him, so I'm like, "I'll help you. I can help you." So I
Right.
did. I just never
Hmm.
felt like it was anything else that I should do. So I just did it. Just, I mean, really, I mean, I knew what I did not do. Whatever he accused me of, I knew what I did not do.
Right.
But it was just, I just felt I had to help him. Nobody
Yeah.
else was. He probably would have gone sooner if I hadn't. But I just felt it was something I had to do.
Right.
It was a
And
to
and you
do.
and you yeah, you wrote in the book, that you were still his wife to death do you part. Yeah, even
Yeah,
though you all did not share, the same physical dwelling, did not share the same
right.
home anymore, and you were separated, you all were still husband and wife. And
Right.
and 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 you felt that obligation, you really took your vows
I
serious.
did, and I
You
did.
you
Did,
really took
yeah.
your vows serious, although uh things went south as far as the relationship. You were still there because you loved him. He was your husband, he's the father of your children, and that was the right thing to do.
I
And I
felt
know
that. Yeah.
your some of your family may not have agreed with
They,
you, but
no, family, friends, it's people close to me. Why? And it's like, I mean, it's just something that
right.
I'm I'm just gonna
Yeah.
help him.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah, and it was the right thing to do. It really was. And I remember, you going through that because we were working together, during
mhm.
that time. And we had talks about that. And it was the right thing to do. So you talk about you know, your husband passed in
Mhm.
and after he passed, uh tell us about what happened next after your husband passed from his illness.
But as far as me doing whatever,
Yeah,
I
moving moving on from that point.
well, actually, I think I had decided I would move on a little before that. Pretty much after, not too long after he had left, I was trying to move on. Then,
Oh yeah, that's right, because that's the living your life like it's
yes,
golden aha
yeah,
moment. Yeah, let's back up a little bit then, because you
it,
yeah, you want to set
yeah,
the record straight that actually you had decided to move on before he passed, but you kind of put that on hold because he was sick and you were
yeah,
helping him. So tell us
yeah.
about the aha moment, because you write in the book that you would walk into work from the parking lot to your office playing the Jill Scott song,
Oh,
living my life like it's golden.
oh,
What was going
mm-hmm.
on? What was going on during that time? You know, I know
I,
you and your husband were separated at the time, and it's like you had a newfound freedom mindset. So tell us about that.
I had this. Well, like I said, I was still helping. That I didn't have. I guess he didn't need me as much as he did, especially once he had everything done with the chemo and all. He didn't need me as much as he would used to. But I guess I just decided I'm sitting around just doing nothing. I said together because I
Mhm.
think my daughter said something, she just remembered she thought I was sad, and I was sad after he left. I was sad, but then he left me with a lot of fine, and I maybe I don't know how much longer after, but and I don't know how I found that song, but it's an empowering song to me.
Yeah.
I just and I remember, yeah, and I would get out the car, put it on my iPod, and just listen to it while I'm walking. I don't know how many times it played. Just and that would just help me. That
Yeah.
song just helped me. You know, I play it at home, and I hear it now. It's still between that and I Will Survive. It's like, but
Yeah.
that it just helped me just to decide, to let it go.
Right.
I mean, he's doing what he's going to do. I was angry when he left. I was really angry when he left because I was just really, and I guess that's when decided to let go of that anger. That's what it was. I let go
Okay.
of that anger.
Okay.
Because it was not me in any way. He was out living his life. It's like, what are you doing, Adrian? Just go live your life. Do something, whatever. And I think that's when I decided I went and um, signed up for a creative writing class at the art center near me. I took a class. That's when I started, and I went back to starting writing. I started writing the book about what happened. That's what it was. And there's a lot
Okay.
of anger in the book. So, and that's why I had to put it down. I picked it up and I'm trying to finish it, but there was a lot of anger
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah.
And I was, like I said, I was so angry, and like I said, it was not helping me at all.
Right.
There he was out living his life. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, so I said, just let it go.
Yeah.
So I let it go.
Right. Yeah. I'm glad those songs help you cross over that, over that
Mm-hmm.
time, when your husband left and you were angry, but you decided that you had to move past that point in your life and that you couldn't continue to exist in anger. So you
No.
decided to let it go, move forward, live your life like it was golden. The passions and creativity that you had put on the back burner, you picked those up again and
Mm-hmm.
you started to pursue those things.
Mm-hmm.
And in the process, your husband, you assisted him with dealing with his illness. You was there for him and all of
Mm-hmm.
that in the process. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. So when your husband passed, you know, you had already well, you were already in the mindset that you were going to move forward anyway. So when he passed, that was like, what was that like a, I guess you had the release that you not necessarily needed. You just had that release to go ahead and move forward
Yeah.
because yeah, because he had passed and he was no longer there. So you really then engage your passion and your desires, the things that you wanted to do and the things that you had put on hold, you
Yeah.
know, since really since the start of your marriage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you basically pick those things back up. You reignited the fire and the passion that you have for the creatives, and that's what you've been basically pursuing ever
Yeah.
since.
Yeah.
Yeah,
More
yeah.
so writing then. I was not sewing or anything back then, but the writing came back. Yeah, I was trying to do that more. Yes.
The writing came. Yeah, I
Mhm.
remember us talking about you writing the book. Tell us about this book and when can we expect this book? Not the book that we co-authored, but
I
the book. When can
I
we expect the book to be finalized and available? Because you know what you tell, the story that you've written about, a glimpse of your story in the book that we co-authored is just that, it's a glimpse,
yeah.
but you have a full novel, you know. You
I
have a full novel that
I
you've been working on for quite some
for
time
a
now,
long time.
for a very long time now, and you know we've had conversations about you, uh you know, picking it up, putting it down, picking it back up, putting it down. Okay, I think now, I, along with those viewing, want to know, inquiring minds want to know, when can we expect
I know.
your book, the
I
book, to be available in
like
print for purchase?
like I said, when especially when he passed, I was like, I'm done. And I uh I had written it. It's three women's perspective. It's domestic violence. That's what it's about basically. But it's three
Okay,
women, three different generations of women. I have just like I'm trying to get like my, and it's like stories of things I've heard and things I've seen and things I've been through,
okay,
and not necessarily
right,
all that. Not It's not everything that I've been through. Like it's things I have heard of too. So it's like I could say it's semi autobiographical, but um, I had said by the end of the year that I need to, and now this crafting has got in the way because I don't know who I was telling somebody I need to schedule a little bit better. So because I just got up doing masks, so I'm like, okay, now I'm trying to increase my inventory for my shop, and I have not touched the book in some time. So, but I need to be
okay,
able. I need to say, okay, maybe on Wednesday and Thursday we write, and other days, something like that. I'm going to have to do.
right.
I need to get some.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes, we
I know.
want you to stay on track because we want to see this
My
book in
sister
print.
has. My sister said something one time about the book.
Yeah,
Where's the book? So I,
we want to see this book in print, and
I
you,
know.
yeah. So you
I know.
have to move forward.
I
You
know.
know, on your book, you have to move forward. You know, you're again walking, you know, in your vision. You're pursuing your purpose. You're being creative. You're doing your crafts. You know, you have your Etsy shop and you're making things and you're writing. All of it just, you know, is there. Everything is there and it's in motion.
Mm-hmm.
It's in motion. So that's a good thing. And I'm so excited to hear this, even though I know it because we talk, but I'm just really excited to see you moving forward on your vision, you know, pursuing purpose in life. And I want you to share with the viewers again how they can get in contact with you on the social media platforms?
I am AEG Craft Designs on Facebook, Instagram, and Etsy. And I am on Twitter as AD Inc. It's ADIEINK on Twitter. I guess I don't do Twitter much, but I'm on Twitter. So
Okay, thank you. So tell us, how does your future look? What does your future look like now that you are pursuing purpose, walking in vision? What is your future forecast for your passion, your vision, your purpose, your life?
I there's a quote that I have seen that I only want to do things I enjoy or that are good or worth doing. I have that on my vision board. So
Okay.
I live that way now. When I get up, I'm like, okay, what am I going to do today? And I'm planning. Like I said, I've made more sales outside of my Etsy shop than I have on the Etsy. I have made a sale on the Etsy shop, but mostly it's word of mouth that that I've made sales with. And like I said, I've been doing a lot with masks lately. So, but I'm trying to get with holidays now. But my plan is to get the Etsy shop up and going. I've been listening to a woman who basically does Etsy all the time. She had a little class a couple weeks ago, and she was talking about getting your Etsy shop going and what you should do and all that. So I'm trying to follow her instructions on that, and I'm trying to do that. But my plan was, before this pandemic happened, I was going to try to get into some craft shows. So I guess once this has gone away, maybe one day I'll start doing that. But right now, I'm going to get the Etsy shop going and just keep doing what I'm doing. And, somebody sees something they like, and, if I can do it, I'll do it. And I basically make things that I want. That's how it started. Because I wanted this specific wreath, and I said, I want to make this wreath, and I did it. So I was like, okay, that's how it started. And the placemats, I was trying to fix up my house, and I was making curtains and just stuff like that. But that's how I started. I basically make things that I want. So,
Okay, and that's how you build your inventory.
yeah, and then people see it. Oh, I like that, and then I'll try to make it too. But
yeah, and so and just so the audience, the viewing audience knows, Adrienne does custom design, wreaths, placemats, tablecloths, anything of that nature, table napkins, any craft she covers, ottomans, you name it, she can do it, custom design. Or, if you see something on her social media platform that you like in that particular model or style, she can do that as well. So we're so glad that Adrienne is pursuing her vision and her purpose and living her life like it's golden. And yeah, that's a good thing. That's a great thing. And she mentioned making masks. She's made numerous masks, probably hundreds of masks for nonprofit. Yeah, for a nonprofit organization to help out during the COVID-19 emergency. And what is the nonprofit organization that you've been making the masks for, Adrienne?
What is the name of her? My goodness.
If you don't have the name close by, if you don't have the name close by, that's fine. I just wanted to share with the viewers that you are, giving back to the community. You're making these masks for this nonprofit organization to provide masks for those on the front lines, helping out during this pandemic. So we're just excited about what you have in place and the things that you are planning to do in the future. We'll be on the lookout for this the novel that you will finish writing and publish for for us to purchase. We're excited about that as well. And we just want to take this time. I just want to take this time to thank you today for the opportunity to get a glimpse, up close and personal glimpse into your life, some of the most defining moments of your life. Thank you for sharing this with us. For those who already have the book, they may have already read about it. For those who don't have the book yet, you can still make that purchase today. Adrienne Gray is one of the authors, along with myself and three other authors, Beverly Van Woods, Sharon Gibson, and Sarah Reed. We all share a glimpse, an up close and personal glimpse into our lives in this book. If you haven't made a purchase, head on over to Amazon.com. You can search the book by the title, Life, Vision, and Purpose, or you can search by either of the author's name. And all proceeds from book sales goes to the Visionaire Foundation, a nonprofit organization that we actually set up for funding grants and scholarships to those who are less fortunate, the underserved population in our local and surrounding communities. We would greatly appreciate you making a purchase because we want to give back to the community. We didn't write the book just to write a book or for the sake of writing a book. We wrote the book because we did and we do want to share our stories with those we interact with, or those we may cross paths with along this journey, in life, in hopes that we can inspire and have a positive impact on the life of someone else. So that's why we wrote the book. And as I said, we're doing this virtual book tour because, of course, the pandemic is still in place. And our plan was to take this tour on the road physically, the book tour on the road physically, but we have not been able to do so because of the COVID-19 pandemic and the social distancing and things of that nature. So with the advancements in technology, what better way to launch this book tour than on social media, Facebook Live. So that's what we're doing. Adrienne is the second author out of the five that has been interviewed. Now all of the authors will be interviewed, including myself. The next author to be interviewed will be Beverly Van Woods. I will be interviewing Miss Van Woods, and she will also be allowing those of you who tune in to get an up close and personal glimpse or look into her life and some of her most life defining experience. But Adrienne, we thank you today. I will keep the viewers posted about the date and time of the next interview. That will be Miss Beverly Van Woods again. So you can follow us on Facebook. Our book, we actually have a Facebook page, Life, Vision, and Purpose. If you follow or like our Facebook page, then you will be able to get current and updated information about events that we'll be hosting, or just in general what we are doing, with the book, about the book, and things of that nature. So please head over and like our Facebook page as well. But I just want to thank Miss Adrienne Gray again today for taking the time out to share with us on this Facebook Live. I thank each of you who tuned in today. I thank you. We appreciate you sincerely for tuning in, and we hope that we shared something, some information, or some part of Adrienne's story resonates with you. You can identify. I know I can. All of the ladies, all of the authors of the book, I have something in common with all of them. So I think this is just a great project, a great work, and we're going to keep it moving forward. So Adrienne, is there anything else you'd like to say to the audience before we close out?
No, thank you. Whoever's watching, I appreciate you tuning in, and I will get the book out.
Okay, Adrian, we're gonna hold you to that.
It's out there now. I've said it, and it's out there now, so I have to. So,
Right, it's out there now. So we're gonna hold you to it. So this concludes the interview. Thank you so much, everyone who's tuning in. We're gonna sign off now. Enjoy your Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.